This is a message from your guides reading for the Andromedan star being. Okay, so I have 4 crystals here. And this one, the group crystal, this is the only group crystal for today. And I'm actually doing your reading with the monthlies instead of the weeklies today. So this is your group crystal. Throat chakra, third eye. I'm not going to go into all that because I know I've already gone into that before during your readings. Then I have my obsidian here. So deflection of negative energies, emotions, and thoughts coming from others. It helps with empathy, psychic protection in general. I think maybe I've gotten that for you before as well. Then I have my crystal quartz pyramid here. This is actually pretty new. I've only used that for a few readings now. And then I have this unknown crystal. Don't know what this is. Looks kind of like a light kind of orangish color. I don't know what kind of crystal that is. I'm guessing that it corresponds with the sacral just by the color. And then this, since it's a pyramid, it has a lot of masculine energies, a lot of grounding energies. And then since it's crystal quartz, it has to do with focusing like a higher energy down. When you kind of combine those two things, the pyramid and the fact that it's a quartz crystal, so you're focusing a higher energy down. This can be guidance, it can be messages, suggestions, ideas, but you are kind of rooting them down into the physical. That's really what that crystal kind of represents to me. Okay, so, I need to surround us in some positive space. So I'm going to use my obsidian to do that. Okay, so the first thing coming through from your guides is that you are really sticking it out when it comes to, you know what you want to do now, and you're kind of allowing it to take forever if it's going to. So you're not giving into this kind of rush and impatient kind of feeling that you've had there in the past and that you can still have now when it comes to this. So it's not that it's never there, but it's the fact that you are not giving into it. That's something that your guides are really applauding. They think that's a really great thing. And that's the reason that it's going to end up really becoming successful. Because your guides are just saying, like you've probably heard before, it doesn't happen overnight. Success doesn't just happen overnight. And you're willing to stick it out, and people who are successful are people who are willing to stick it out and to stick through it when it was taking longer. They're saying longer than usual, according to whatever they believe is the usual time frame, right? And just in general, when it's taking a bit longer than we would like, or than we assume that it should take, is what they mean by than usual. They're saying that they mean like humans, have this certain time frame. Spirit has a different time frame, maybe a very different time frame than the one that we operate from, because we want to rush and we want to fix everything really quickly, or we want to get something going and we want it to take off and be really successful overnight. But it doesn't happen that way normally, very rarely, and they're saying that there are reasons for that. It's because that's part of the journey. And during the journey to get there, that's where you grow. That's where the growth happens that you need when you are successful. When you are successful, you're going to need what you had, that ability to stick it through during those moments where you weren't so successful, in the way of where this wasn't so successful, where this hadn't really taken off yet. You're going to need that kind of backbone and strength that you had during those times once you are really successful. So they're saying to stick it through, to keep going, and also that they are applauding you for that. They're also saying something about your consistency when it comes to detail. Looking at the details, trying to be observant about like all the little things, all the smaller things that you might not notice, and fixing those things. They're saying that you're very good at that. That you notice little things and little details about what you're doing that make a difference. And they're saying that other people notice those things perhaps more in a kind of subconscious way, but they're saying that the universe notices it in a big way. You're taking your time, you're putting your effort in, and you're trying to get things right. At the same time, they're saying that they like that you're doing it in a balanced way. You're not like overkilling it like they're saying that you have in the past. Because they're saying that this is another thing that you have sometimes, is kind of a perfectionism kind of thing, but it doesn't feel so much like you have that anymore. But it feels like you used to. It feels like you used to, and now you don't. So you almost, in a sense, have the ability to have that there, but you chose not to. And it feels like now you're doing things in a more balanced way, where you see the imperfections, or you see the flaws in a sense, and you're okay with them. But some things you do correct if they need to be fixed, if they need to be, attended to. They need to be looked into in a way where you're going to correct them and make them, improve them in some way. So there's this balance. You don't just let things slip that are big and obvious and you need to fix them. But at the same time, you're not this perfectionist that has to deal with every little thing that you see or notice to the smallest degree that no one else would necessarily even notice at all, or not care about if they did. So they're saying that you let some things go, and that's good too. And they're saying that that's also part of being who you are. As they're saying that you have to be relaxed in order to be who you are. Okay, this feels like a female guide specifically who's talking right now. This definitely feels like one of your Andromedan guides. And it feels like she's saying that you can be relaxing no matter what you are doing. It feels like you don't have to be drinking tea to relax. You don't have to be doing something that's necessarily relaxing to relax. You can be driving and you can relax. So in other words, you can be where there are cars and you can relax. You can be in a busy place with people around. You can relax. Then there are more obvious things. You can be reading and you can relax. You can take a bath and you can relax. But then there are less obvious things. You don't have to get in a pool on a nice warm day in order to relax. You can relax at any point. And really for yourself to come through, you have to be relaxed. She's saying that relaxing is another way of letting go, or saying letting go. And so it's really another word for detachment. That's why when you relax, you can let go. And it is a form of letting go because it's a form of detachment. So if you're attached to something, you're stressed because you're holding on to it. So it's very rigid, it's very stiff. If you are detached, you're letting it go. You're more relaxed. And then you can be observant. You can see it through a view that only you being relaxed would allow you to have, that only you being relaxed would conjure. If you're stressed, you see everything through those eyes, through that view, that angle, which is your attachment to the situation, whatever it is. So she's saying that a way of grounding is actually relaxing. Because when you are grounded and you are centered, you remain detached. You're in the present when you're grounded. So you're detached. You're detached from the past. You're detached from the future. And you're seeing the present clearly, so you're detached from that as well. And that doesn't mean that there's no negativity to observe, but it means that you don't look at it in an attached way and just add more negativity to it. And so then you can actually see a way out of it. And a lot of it isn't even negativity. It's just a challenge. That's really all it is, and that's really a positive thing. You'd be bored if life didn't present certain obstacles to find your way around or move through or push out of the way, however you want to do it. even turn around if it's not your path at all and you realize that. So in other words, some obstacles aren't even meant to push through. But even that you can only see if you're not attached to the obstacles. So you have to let them go. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit more clearing. Using my unknown, very orange crystal. I really feel like your solar plexus is really opening and expanding. It's definitely starting to spin more properly. I feel like it was spinning somewhat before, but it doesn't feel like it's as blocked now from spinning more in the way that it should. And more in a correct alignment, it feels like. So it feels like it's becoming more aligned with the other chakras. I even feel like part of this is actually because of the other chakra that you were working on, that you have been, the green one. There's something going on with the heart chakra though, where that's still a little bit stuck almost, it feels like, or now it kind of feels that way. I don't feel like it's always been that way. But it does feel like it has to do with desires manifesting. I feel like that's kind of a chakra to work on too. But I also feel like they're kind of showing me layers of this. I feel almost like if they were to show me almost a different layer of the same chakra, or maybe even the same chakra in like a different body, for instance, like the emotional or the mental body. I feel like this chakra would just be spinning properly. That's how I would see it. But it feels like in this specific area, it's a little bit blocked and doesn't really spin properly so much. So they're saying it like this. You can almost look at it this way. let's say you have this chakra here, and then there's like this little piece of something kind of in the way over here, like a block, and it's kind of small. It's representing like one small area, and it's spinning, and it's spinning through this block. You're not necessarily going to notice looking at it unless this is like some huge block. You're not necessarily going to notice how it's spinning, or notice that it's bumping into that thing every time it goes around. It's probably just going to appear like a normal spinning chakra. But it is being slowed down by this block a little bit. And it feels like this just has to do with you letting it go. That doesn't mean that you put your goals down, like put your goals aside and not really focus on completing them. It means that you let go of the outcome, in other words, and you don't care about it. You have what you would want to have happen, but you let go of it at the same time. So you can have goals that you want to reach, but how you obtain them could be a little different from what you're currently thinking, or from what your current view is of how you could see that it might manifest. And so you have to let it go, otherwise you just get in its way. Okay, so let's take another one. So my lapis lazuli. Okay, so now they're coming to the throat chakra. So it feels like this chakra is becoming more unblocked, but it does feel like it did have a lot blocking it. And so it still might not look like it's fully properly spinning, even though you have removed a lot that was in its way. Also, it kind of feels like it's like if you remove something that was damaging a certain part of yourself, or a chakra, for instance, and then you fill it with positive energy and you seal it up, almost like if you had a wound and you were to clean it out, right, and put some medicine on it and then put a Band-Aid over it to seal it up, then there still has to be some time as well for it to heal. So part of it is that there are some things that still need to be removed. And then another aspect of it is that things have been removed, and now the chakra almost needs to kind of repair itself, because you had some energies in there that were blocking it for so long that you've discarded. And so now it's like it has to kind of come back into its own energy and fill that space with its own throat chakra energy versus blocked energy taking up space in the chakra that it was supposed to be taking up, if that makes sense. Whoa, they're showing me another chakra that I've never even seen before. I never would have even thought of that. It feels so weird because I'm totally feeling that chakra now. They're showing me this image of like inside your mouth, between the roof of your mouth and your tongue, this small chakra just spinning in there. Literally like in the middle of your mouth. I feel like they're showing me this chakra and it's like, it's really spinning. It's spinning pretty fast. They're showing me this kind of clear color. It doesn't really look like a color what they're showing me. It looks kind of clear. I even get the feeling of kind of pink or something. So there's almost a feeling, whether it's actually pink or not, there's almost a feeling of it being kind of related in some way to the heart chakra, but I don't feel like that's in particular. I feel like that has to do with you specifically, and that this chakra and something that you're doing with it connects to your heart chakra in some way. But this chakra here is also helping you with the throat chakra. I wonder if this might have something to do with, oh, okay. I was thinking maybe this had to do with, as you mentioned like a band and you singing or something. I thought, okay, maybe this is having to do with that, but no, they're not saying that specifically, because there are definitely other ways that you are expressing yourself as well. But it does feel like this somehow has to do with like vocal cords. And even though it's in your mouth, not really in your throat, but it does feel like it has to do with like emitting sounds. It has to do with like physically speaking, singing. I feel like it can't even have to do with things like writing or like your mental dialogue with yourself, your thoughts, or your thoughts to the universe even. But somehow this feels related to the physical as well. Where this chakra has to do with how you almost actively speak in some way, and what you're putting out. And almost whether you are communicating, it almost feels like whether you're communicating or not, but in a way I don't really want to say that, because I know obviously we're always communicating. Even if you're communicating that you're not communicating, you're still communicating. But I'll say whether you're almost hiding yourself or whether you're speaking outwardly, speaking up for yourself. So it almost feels like this doesn't have to do with like a specific area exactly. Like, I'm going to stand up for myself, or I'm going to sing in a band, or whatever. Or I'm going to make YouTube videos, you know, or write things down. It's the way that you actively communicate and express. And even if it's an inward thought, this isn't about like a hidden belief. It's like about conscious, I know I had that thought. I thought that about myself or this situation, and I did something out of it. I acted out of the thought, or even just I thought it loudly, like I felt that thought, I believed that thought, whether it's negative or positive. So this is a smaller chakra that they're showing me, but it feels kind of loud. It feels like it kind of has a purpose. Like I'm going to speak in like an outward. So this is more of a masculine kind of energy chakra. I'm going to speak in an outward way, communicate actively versus more inwardly. Okay, so that is all that your guides have to say for this reading. Thank you very much for another one, and I will see you next week. Namaste.